Desde el velo del tiempo, una sabiduría ancestral susurra verdades eternas. En cada letra, en cada silencio, reside un eco de la creación, un llamado a la esencia más profunda del ser. La luz que danza entre los mundos aguarda ser revelada. Es el sendero hacia la comprensión profunda, el puente entre lo visible y lo oculto, donde el alma encuentra su verdadero reflejo. Permite que esta corriente divina despierte tu esencia más pura, que el espíritu se eleve más allá de lo conocido. Conecta con la fuente inagotable de conocimiento que reside en tu interior. Descubre la luz, comprende el misterio, transforma tu alma.
Rabbi Amichai, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you making the space for this conversation. Your insights and your dedication to Torah and Kabbalah have impacted many people, and it's a privilege for us to be able to learn from you today. On behalf of everyone watching, thank you for your time, your wisdom, and your generosity in sharing it. Welcome. I'm really been looking forward to this conversation, especially because we are approaching Purim and Pesach. These two festivals feel incredibly powerful, almost two spiritual gateways in the calendar. So maybe we can begin with Purim. Is it fine?
Sure, 100%. Yeah, it's like my favorite holiday, in a way. The truth is, every holiday is my favorite holiday because wherever we are, that's actually the favorite time, the favorite place to be. But we are approaching Purim, and Purim is known for something spectacular that happens where we see nature revealing to us that it is not just nature, that nature is in fact God who is hidden within nature all the time. The fact that we don't see it is our own humanity, and we could say shortcomings of it, and where God really is there within nature, not just within above nature. And so Kabbalah puts it that there is redemption of Passover and redemption of Purim. Redemption of Passover, we're kind of like jumping back and forth because to really understand something, you understand it by its contrast. That the redemption of Passover is a redemption of God above nature, like extraordinary, like wow, like splitting of the Red Sea, wow, 10 plagues, wow, these things are shocking. The Moses hitting the rock and then water comes out, the manna falling. All these are miracles that are above nature, that are attributed to Passover. And for us as humans, we need miracles in our lives. We need miracles in our lives because we could just be like, I'm just getting through life and the day, and it could be very down, very devastating for a human to think that everything that is happening to them is just on its own. But when a miracle happens, and we all have miracles in our lives, but we've also seen miracles like that happening, and all we have to do is kind of like open up our eyes and see miracles that are above nature. Miracles above nature just remind us, oh, like God is in the picture. God is like, hello, I'm peeking in. I'm peeking in, not just peeking in. I've always been there. And we're like, oh, you're there. You're in the sunroof. Oh, amazing, amazing. You're in the sunroof. You're coming into my house, into my car, into my life. And we see God above nature. But then God within nature is a lot harder to find. Whereas everything that we're going through, our day-to-day, our reality that we call it, is not the whole story. That God is existing exactly with the nature, giving us all the circumstances that are happening, good or bad. It's our interpretation of what is happening that is actually dictating our reality.
Okay.
Because we think this way, and therefore we are therefore either stuck by that way of loop, that way of thinking, which is negative, which doesn't see the possibilities, doesn't see beyond a dead end.
Okay.
There isn't open end. The miracle of Purim is this miracle of seeing God within nature, where the whole story of Mordechai and then Esther becoming like the queen, and then she's married to Achashverosh, and then Haman comes along, and that there's a whole story that's weaved over there. That's called the Megillat Esther. Megillah comes from the word revelation. It's revealing. It's saying there's a whole story over there, but then you go to the script writer. The script writer was God, is God.
Really.
And in fact, interesting that sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, it's fine.
Go
It's
ahead.
fine. It's precious what you're saying to us. Because many of us, when we think about Purim, we think about customs and celebration, but it's really something spiritual happening there, and we don't consider that. Yeah, we should connect with the spiritual thing, not with the celebration only. It's fine to celebrate. We need some celebration sometimes, but we need to connect with the energy, with spiritual light. And one of the most fascinating things to me is that the name of God isn't mentioned in the Megillah at all.
Exactly.
Why is divine concealment so central to Purim?
Yeah. So I was exactly going to say that. So then I stopped myself, and then you came along, and we say everything is divinely perfect. So that's exactly we're on the same page, saying the same thing, that why is God's name not in the Megillah? And the answer is God's name. The entire Megillah is God's name, but it's just coded in a different way. It's coded within nature.
Okay.
Where
So
actually the name of God, Elohim, okay, is the same numerology. It's 86. Same numerology as Hateva, which means nature, the nature. Yeah.
So
And
it's
so what do we
Purim.
do with the costumes? That's
Yeah,
Purim.
yeah.
What do we do with the costumes? We get dressed up. But the dressing up isn't just about like something for kids or anything like Halloween, which I'd like to talk about a little in a couple of minutes. But it's not like Halloween or Mardi Gras or any of those like type of things where people put on costumes. Why? Because they want to trick. They want to
Okay.
trick someone. They want to look in a sense. They trick, and that's really decadent. That's already the tree of knowledge where there was the snake, and it says that's Haman, and he was tricking, right? But then there's another costume, a holy costume, and that's where God, nature, is a costume.
Okay. So we can say that
And we
Purim
review
is
that.
teaching us how to recognize God, specifically in the moments when He feels hidden to us. We
Exactly.
can connect with God in nature, in everything that is around us. Now, people often describe Amalek as a doubt. From a Kabbalistic perspective, what does Amalek represent inside of a person?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I heard from a Kabbalist friend of mine. He actually said this to me this morning when we were by the water. We go out into nature every morning, he said as follows. So when you take Mordechai, and then you take away the name with the numerology, and you take away the name Shakai, Shin Dalid Yud, you're left with Amalek. So Shakai minus Mordechai minus Shakai equals Amalek. We don't have to go into the exact numbers right now, because the point is that when we take God out of our lives, okay,
we
could be
get inside
by
Amalek.
meaning we take God out of our lives, meaning through forgetting that he exists, because over alcohol, or over entertainment, or over enjoyment, overeating, and we go away, then what are we left with? Doubt, Amalek, because God isn't there. So if God isn't there, what is there? I'll tell you what's there. Doubt. And that's the energy of the snake, right? Of the serpent, that's in the tree of knowledge, which is where Haman comes from, that seed of Amalek. So doubt is basically saying that God doesn't exist. But guess what? That's exactly the opposite of what we were saying before. Because God totally exists. Hashem echad u'shmo echad. God and his name, even his name, which is Elohim, Teva, is one. God is in nature. There is nothing else but God. Enod milvado. That is the reality. The absence of that, not in reality, but in our own human construct, that we say God isn't here. No, God isn't here. No, God is in everything. When you have the humility, you are humble to know it's not you. Don't think that me, my strength and my valor has made for me this greatness. What was it? It's anything in your life, anything. It comes from a sense of humility, that we realize that God exists, and also we give thanks to God, and we're grateful. Then God is able to reveal himself to us. And that's why I'll tell you what the name of the Megillah does have. It doesn't have God's name because it's all God's name, but it has the Yehudim. The name Yehudim means literally Jews, right? But it goes into the name, really, what is the name for a Jew, right? Right? In the world, people are anti-Semitic, and they don't know what it means. They don't know what it means at all. Because what does actually Yehudi come from? It comes from the word hoda'ah, which means to give gratitude, and to be humble, and to be able to see the creator in this world, which is what Abraham did at the beginning, right? The first Jew, first one who's humble, said, it's not my brain, it's not my this. Abraham said, it's you.
It's something above the human being.
Yeah, we remove God from our minds, from our hearts, then we're left with doubt. And then why is this happening in my life? Why is this going on? And you want that kind of life? Go ahead. See if you enjoy it. You versus God. See who wins.
And you're going to feel lost all the time because nothing has that direction. Right.
Yeah. And look at the world right now.
Yeah.
The state
it feels lost.
Of the consciousness, right? A state of where God is giving us all the vessels. This is a vessel right now of taking technology and saying, it's not just technology, but God made the technology so because he wants to be revealed.
Of course. We have more technology than let us connect, let us learn something, let's reveal the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or be very distracted and go to the worst places and to spew negativity and fake news and fear and shame and comparison. and undervaluing our souls because we look just at the body and just at the materialism. That's the negative. It's our choice. Do we want to go to that Amalek, or do we want to bring God as much as we can, right? We are human beings,
Yeah.
especially at this time.
Yeah.
Not
Crazy times now.
simple. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
why is joy such a strong theme on Purim? Is joy actually a spiritual force that breaks negativity? Because most of us relate Purim with a joy festival. So, why joy? What is it, joy?
So when you said something before that it's nice to like celebrate, but then we have to know that it's actually serious.
Yeah.
And I want to like maybe fine tune maybe what my understanding of it means, that the joy and the celebration are one. In other words, when there's two things, there's me. I'm enjoying the food, I'm enjoying the wine, I'm enjoying the company, I'm enjoying. True, you are enjoying. Your ego, your body's enjoying. But what's underneath the enjoyment? Why are you enjoying? For who are you enjoying? And Kabbalah teaches if you're enjoying for you, for your own ego, then that's the will to receive for the self. And that is basically could go to really not good places because it's all about me and I need more of it. And it's right. Obviously, there's a balance. There's my enjoyment and there's my relaxation. But if it's about my relaxation, if it's not God's, there's something. And the truth is, when joy on the deepest level is really a joy of that the Creator exists. So the Talmud teaches us, "Mishenichnas Adar marbim besimcha." When Adar comes in, we increase in joy. Why? Because the month that we're in right now, which is Pisces, Adar, is a month of really of uncertainty. Like you were saying, like Amalek, like it's the fish, it's like going through water. People that are born a lot during this month it's hard for them to make sometimes decisions because there's a lot of intuitions, a lot of things, but then there's a lot of decisions. So you have doubt. And it says whenever we have doubt, we can't be happy because all these things are going on. I have doubt. What is this going to happen? Is this so it's weighing on me, and I can't really be free because really being free, joy is like a child. You see, they're not thinking like an adult is thinking. You know, it's my mortgage, and I have to pay this, and I have to I have to go to the bank, and this is going on. This friend, you know, adults and old people, you could see some people very heavy because of all of the thoughts and all of the doubts that are going on. Adar tells us there's no doubts. Purim tells us there's no doubt. God exists. And you know the mortgage that you didn't pay, and you know that the issue that you had, that was me also. Can you recognize that that's me as well? Me within everything.
It's
And that
hard.
gives me joy.
Yeah. Because Purim feels like a hidden redemption that God is working behind the curtain. But
Exactly.
that takes us to another place because Pesach feels completely different. Okay, open miracles, open revelation. So, what
Yes.
shifts between these two moments? Because we celebrate Purim and after we got Pesach.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And in a way, you would say, why don't we have Pesach first? I mean, obviously, we're going chronologically. Pesach happened in in Nisan in the spring, and Purim happens in this month of Pisces of Adar. So chronologically, it can't work out. But like on a concept level, for us to experience God within nature, we kind of like want to be opened up to God's existence at all. Like, prove it to me. You know, kind of like people say, you know, prove that there's a God. So we want to like have a bigger way of thinking. We would think that. But the truth is, it doesn't go that way. It goes by, if you really want to experience God that's above nature, you have to experience God within nature. Meaning that if a person is an inspiration junkie and they're just going to be about, the big things that God is showing, then they're missing the point.
Yeah. Because it's like if we are looking for the light when it's easy, when it's hard, we are not going to be able to find it. Is that right?
Exactly.
So, how would you describe the difference between redemption of Purim and the redemption on Pesach?
Yeah, so the redemption of Purim is seeing God within nature, and the redemption of Pesach is seeing God that is above nature.
Okay.
The redemption of Pesach really made the Jewish people, the Israelites, into like a nation. So that idea of actually being formed and having a mission for all of humanity, that's something that was like not normal. And so it's really also a birth of a nation, but you could say Purim is the being saved as a nation, because there was the plan of Haman to exterminate the Yehudim, right, the Jewish people, and we know what happened to him, and we know what happened to whoever tried to do that throughout history. It's a trend that repeats itself, and we're
Yeah.
seeing it right now.
Yeah.
With Iran, and I have no doubt, like no doubt at all, how this is going to go and what's going to happen. They're going to get their behinds kicked. There's no other way to put it, in a major way, and that's going to be the same case for any anti-Semitic body and anti-Semitic people and media and things like that, because why is there anti-Semitism? Because there is a lack of this consciousness and a lack of this teaching of Kabbalah in the world. That's
Yeah.
what I believe.
Yeah. It's like in Kabbalah, we speak about that Amalek is around doubt, and Mitzrayim it's connected to the idea of limitation. What are the inner limitations that Pesach is asking us to break free from?
Yeah, so Pesach is asking us to break free from our chametz, which is called leaven, the ego energy. The ego energy is the letter chet, okay, where we have then matzah. Matzah's the same letters as chametz, but with a difference of the letter chet and the letter hey. The letter chet visually is two lines coming down with a line on top, and the letter hey is the line on top, the line on the bottom, and then a bottom
Space.
line, but it doesn't connect all the way. What's the difference between the chet and the hey? The difference is that the letter chet corresponds to ego. Chet literally means sin in Hebrew. And hey corresponds to humility, because the reason for the sin is ego. And the
It's
reason for the return is the humility.
okay. So we are renouncing to our ego. We are letting it go. Our ego. That's our
We're
limitation.
exactly. We're Yeah, we're working through our ego. And on Passover, there's basically no bread, leavened bread. There's the eating of the matzah, which represents this is the gate.
That's why we remove hametz before Pesach, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And deeper level, hametz is connected to our ego or spiritual inflation. And as you were talking about the anti-Semitism, it's like that sometimes, because sometimes we don't look for this humility, and we think that we are above everyone, and we are not connected with anything, and we do not recognize light in things, and like in Purim, that we are looking the hidden light, and we feel lost in everything we do. So, but in Purim, it's a celebration, it's like a party, but in Pesach, something it's makes me wonder why they got the seder. It's so structured, it's so symbolic. Is it meant to transform consciousness rather than simply retell a history?
Exactly. Yes, for sure. So there's 15 parts to the Seder. Seder literally means order. So we come out of exile, and each part of the Seder is another realm of coming free. It's another step. So the Maharal of Prague, he was a great Kabbalist philosopher in the 1700s. So he writes that the 15, there's also 15 dayenus which are sung. There's 15 steps in the temple, which correspond to stepping up from the lower realms of ego to now go up to the higher realm of humility, right? Where we go out. And so we start off, and 15 is the letters Yud and Hey, which are the first two letters of the divine name of God, that the Yud is wisdom and the Hey is understanding. And we climb up from a level of consciousness, basically, to come to a place of freedom. Because where's freedom really found? It's found in between our ears. A person can be in the most opulent, beautiful place in the world, and they own so much and they have so much, and they're the biggest slaves.
Of course.
And you could have someone that is living their life in a truthful, honest, loving, happy way with their family, with their loved ones, with themselves, with whatever it is that they're doing, thanking God for everything that they're doing. They're coming out and they're actually freer.
Okay.
They're going to nature, and they're having the best time, more than the person who's going to a private island, which now we see, and also coming out in the news with the whole Epstein files, where all these billionaires are the most disgusting, sick individuals, that that's the worst captivity possible. Worst.
Then consider this order that we use to connect with the energy with Pesach, with the conscious of Pesach. Don't you think that it's order that it's missing us in these times?
Yeah, for sure.
The Zohar teaches that leaving Egypt is an ongoing process. I'm
Yes.
feeling it like it's an ongoing process to put order in our lives. How does someone recognize that they are still in their personal Egypt?
Well, it's usually very obvious, and a person knows it. And if a person doesn't know it, then their spouse tells them, or their child tells them, um, and or their boss tells them, or their health tells them, that wake up over here. And so we could be dreaming, which is what King David says when Mashiach comes. Ainu kechom, we're like dreamers,
Yeah, of
because
course.
most people are just sleepwalking.
Yeah, it's always a way that God is telling us what to do and what is happening with us, but we don't look at it. So
Yeah.
is freedom, it's freedom something that happened to us or something we have to cultivate internally?
Yeah. We're saying throughout, it's really all about cultivating internally, right? Viktor Frankl said that man's search for meaning, which the Lubavitcher Rebbe encouraged him to come out with this book that really changed psychology and changed the way we look at ourselves. That that you could have everything taken away, like what where he was at,
Yeah,
and you could still choose. The power to choose. The power to choose is the power of grabbing uh, ownership and awareness of our own selves, of our own minds, of our own choices, and just the awareness is already the beginning of freedom. The awareness that I'm actually not where I should be. Okay, so I'm aware of that. Now what? So I'm aware that I need something more. And that's where we have the ability to actually pray to God and ask for his assistance, which is what God wants from us. He wants a relationship with us. He wants us to recognize that he's in the picture, that he's here all along. That it's not about me, that you and me, we need each other. We need to speak to him. So, that's really the best way to cultivate awareness and prayer.
of course. Rabbi, this has been a deeply meaningful. I feel like Purim teaches how to find the divine in concealment, and Pesach teaches how to walk in revealed freedom. Before we close, what the guidance would you good guidance could you give to someone who truly wants to experience these holidays, not for just historically but spiritually? What do you say to that person?
So, to spend more time in nature, spend more time speaking to God, spend more time in meditation, a little bit less on their phone, less on the internet, and more speaking to God and in nature, and more learning. Because when we learn, we're really bringing in God into our minds, into our hearts. So how can we spend more time learning about how we could come close to God, how we could become more lights to the world, and yeah, that's really where it's at, becoming more of a light warrior, here in this world. So and we created this, we're finishing up this whole created this whole like 3 months like really course on light warrior, how you could really become a light warrior, and what is there to learn? How could we learn, and how could we do that? So awareness, prayer, and learning, and then believing in yourself. And yeah.
And that's it. Thank you again for your generosity, Rabbi. We truly appreciate it.
Of course, pleasure. All right, so wishing you a great day and a happy holidays.
Same to you, Rabbi.
Desde el velo del tiempo, una sabiduría ancestral susurra verdades eternas. En cada letra, en cada silencio, reside un eco de la creación, un llamado a la esencia más profunda del ser. La luz, que danza entre los mundos, aguarda ser revelada. Es el sendero hacia la comprensión profunda, el puente entre lo visible y lo oculto, donde el alma encuentra su verdadero reflejo. Permite que esta corriente divina despierte tu esencia más pura, que el espíritu se eleve más allá de lo conocido. Conecta con la fuente inagotable de conocimiento que reside en tu interior. Descubre la luz, comprende el misterio, transforma tu alma,